Hello guys, how's it going? You're gonna see me here demold a set of a larger sized dice. These guys are a bit bigger than what I would usually be working with. And unfortunately, they did not turn out the greatest. There's a lot of bubbles in this piece, and so it was really difficult to get all of them out. I got a couple questions for you viewers here once you've had some resin works and stuff like that I'll ask later down the line. But I'm going to take the scissors, break open this little kind of seal that we've got going on here, because it's really difficult to pull these guys out without the top half just being completely glued down by the resin. And even resin like this that is super soft and still like moldable is really difficult to pull up and pull apart. I use a resin that sits in about 6 to 12 hours. It depends on the day. You know, how warm is the day? How cold is the day? That kind of thing. But yeah, this piece was rather large. This is the first time I'm using this particular mold because it's such a large set of dice. And you'll notice I'm not a very big person and I have very tiny hands. I have extremely tiny hands. But even these dice, they're large. They're a good handful of dice. So it's not your average set. And I was just checking them out and checking out some new mica powder that I was working with. And I loved the color of these dice. I really did. The black, the gold, the red turned out really, really nice. And now that I've worked with the mica a bit more, I like it for very seldom few reasons. But, this is a really nice, unique set that I enjoy, and it won't unfortunately meet the market based on how many bubbles it has unless I can, make some edits to it, and that's where my questions come in. I've got 3 questions for you guys. Any of you resin makers out there, how do you get the bubbles off the tops of your dice? And then how do you make sure that the numbers have a clear, flat, kind of situation there? And last but not least, what kind of pens or paints are you guys using? Are you hand painting your pieces, or are you using, like what I'm doing is I'm using an acrylic paint pen that I'm able to use to paint on the numbers and stuff like that. What I find is with the smaller numbers where you have to dig into deep spaces where it doesn't have the raised numbers on them, it's difficult to get the numbers like completely opaque. So I just wanted to know what you guys expected, what you guys think. And then also, if anybody has any ideas, I've got some UV resin dice that really turned out awesome and excellent, and they look really good. I'm just wondering if anybody has any other ideas to go with them. So I'm just working with some resin, just having some fun, enjoying myself, that kind of thing. But yeah, looks like I've almost got everything out here. It's taking me a minute because I'm having to cut out a couple pieces. If I remember correctly, that D20 and the D4 was also a pain, but the D4 is almost always a pain for me. That centerpiece for the D4 with the sharp angles, I hate that thing. I hate them so much. I try and sand them down as much as I possibly can to get like smooth edging. But yeah, you guys will have to tell me. And then of course, these are all available on my, Etsy, my Tedooo, and Mercury, and just all the stores. I gotta build a link tree here shortly. We're getting started, ladies and gentlemen, but we're having fun while we're getting started. So these dice came out really well, except for the first half where the bubbles were. So unfortunately, unless I put the dice back into some clear resin, they won't be put on the store. And you'll see here that I checked it out and found a little spot where there was some extra resin that needed to be cut off of the dice. So I'll clear that up here and we'll go from there. And then we'll just go ahead and roll these out, give them a few test rolls, see how they turned out. And I think they turned out okay. I don't think they turned out too bad. We usually play a game where we roll the dice and see which first person gets the max of the dice. And you roll your D100, you try and see who can get a 100 and that kind of thing. So that's technically what I'm doing here. Looks like I got a D8 on a D10, which is not bad. Or looks like I got an 8 on a D10. But yeah, they turned out well. We'll see you guys next time.